Hello. So here we come to the summary. So congratulations on making it this far in solving rational equations. And so what I want to do is just kind of summarize with you as far as the process that we use to solve rational equations. And there's kind of two different processes that I went through throughout this course. The first one was eliminating the rational part of equations. And we did that by multiplying every single term by the LCD. And what that did is that eliminated our denominator. So therefore, then we could just solve as either a linear equation or a quadratic equation after we combined like terms and got them on the same side. The next process that we worked on is combining them so we could have a proportion. And once we had a proportion, we would use the cross product to go ahead and solve. So now what I would like to do is just kind of outline some tips and tricks, as well as some common mistakes. Now, when looking at some common mistakes, I've outlined a lot of these in my courses for simplifying, adding, subtracting, and multiplying, dividing. So I'm just going to kind of overview a lot of some common mistakes that students make. As far as the tips and tricks, that kind of goes through with my process of what you want to do, which is 1, multiply by the LCD. Right? We do that, then we can just go ahead and solve by either using inverse operations if it's a linear equation, or by using factoring, quadratic formula, so forth if it's a quadratic. 2 is also using the cross product. And we use the cross product when we have a rational expression that is set up as a proportion. Then we can go ahead and apply the cross product. Now, one thing that's also very important about solving these equations is always looking to simplify. And we're going to be able to simplify by, simplify is kind of vague, but what I'm looking to simplify is by factoring, as well as our rules of exponents. And if we can apply factoring and rules of exponents to simplify this, a lot of times it's going to make our problem a lot easier to go ahead and solve. Now let's go and look into some common mistakes. And when I look at common mistakes that I see with students, is I see them trying to combine like terms without a common denominator. So remember, pretty much, I won't say that. When you're looking at this, you got to make sure you understand the operations of rational expressions. So when I went through all my courses, I showed you how to add and subtract expressions, how to multiply and divide. We got to make sure that we apply those correctly, as well as not simplifying. And not only is not simplifying, but simplifying incorrectly. So that again goes back to your factoring and using the rules of exponents incorrectly and using factoring incorrectly. The last thing I'd probably say is, is learning how to solve. A lot of students can follow the first couple steps. They get it as to a linear equation or a quadratic equation, or they get it to the cross product, and then they still mess up by the solving. So when we're looking into solving, there's two different ways. If it is a linear equation, we're going to want to use our inverse operations. And if it's a quadratic, we're going to want to use factoring or the quadratic formula. Now, you could also use completing the square, and depending on what type of quadratic, the square root method, and so forth. But those are going to be our most popular methods to go ahead and solve. So again, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations for getting this far. I hope the summary kind of highlighted and gave you a brief overview of what we did in this course. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any other questions, let me know. Thanks.